Hey guys, this is James from Man Tripping, and we are here at another Men Who Blog virtual happy hour. I am so thrilled that we have transitioned from a doom and gloom, everybody's hunkering down inside their houses, and we were drinking our sorrows away, to now, for those of you who are ready, the restaurants are starting to open back up here in California, in Georgia, in Texas, in Florida. The pandemic is not over, so remember, guys, be safe, don't be stupid. Wear a mask, be courteous. If we all work together and if we're all cool, then we will continue to be able to have restaurants opening. But if you're not, then, this little glimpse and window into normality is going to shut real fast. So don't want to harp on that too much. You guys, I know that are watching this, are all responsible people, and we're thrilled to have you guys here. But wanted to give a shout out to Chicken Cock Whiskey, which has a name that, we will probably be laughing at a little bit. Oh, my green screen is playing havoc right there. But anyhow, Chicken Cock Whiskey, I thought it was a new brand. It's actually an old brand going back to, I think, the 1800s or so. And it shows that no matter how perverted we are today, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers were just as perverted as we ever were. So I am thankful for that. I'm thankful for the traditions that we continue to follow. And, I was going to tell a joke, but I kind of felt it almost inappropriate to tell a joke today because right before here, I got a series of some bad news. Unfortunately, Ashley is not going to be able to be here. Gabby's not going to be able to be here. Both of them had car trouble on the same day. Unfortunately, one can be fixed. One is probably not going to be able to be fixed. And on top of that, a friend of mine's wife has breast cancer that she found out today. And a friend of mine's daughter, who's only like 11 years old, is probably going to have her leg amputated. So, we are still thrilled that restaurants are opening back up, but I just didn't feel like doing a silly bar joke right now. But you know what? It's important that we all kind of look at those things around us, thank our families, thank our wives, thank our husbands, our partners, whatever you have that's special to you. And remember that every day is just one day at a time. And you know what? With that being said, I think we all get the point. I am going to go kick it over to Kevin, who is going to take things from here and talk a little bit about more of who we have. So, Kevin, how are you doing over there?
Well, I have had my issues too. I was putting a contact in yesterday, and it ran up in my eye, and I had to drive my car to a repair place. It's been $1,000 to get that check engine light off so I can get my silly sticker from California. So the team pubclub.com has had a rough go on the cars, but I had to put another contact in, so I got two contacts jammed up my eye. So if you wonder why my eye is a little red, I've not been drinking since last Tuesday's show. But my cousin Beth in Johnson City, Tennessee, likes the name Chicken Cock. So there you go. I'm gonna have my first bourbon and ginger. I've never had one of those. My friend Ice got his nickname because of the way he acts after he drinks bourbon and ginger. And that's definitely interesting. I also have, I think I need some more chicken cock, and I also have a little shot, and you and Tom have taught me well. You don't chug this stuff like you do like Pub Club type tequila, but you just kind of sip it. Oh, and that's very good. I like that. So I like it better sipping than in that ginger cocktail. We have Evan Charles on today. He's back for the fourth time. Last time he was on, he debuted the pubclub.com song, pubclub.com, where the world goes to party, where he incorporated the Pub Club tagline. And today he's got a new song based on today's lifestyle. So Evan's going to be playing that. And welcome, Evan.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Really appreciate it. You guys are always a lot of fun. I'm sorry to hear about the hardship you're experiencing, and my heart goes out to you, and I'm sure all of us feel the same way. So I wish you and your families a lot of strength.
Well, thanks to everything. Yeah, it's been a kind of interesting week, but we're kind of all getting through it one way or another. And what we're going to talk about today is opening up the bars and restaurants. They just did that in San Diego last week, and I actually went to a fine restaurant in San Diego and also to a bar, and I've got some pretty good insight on it. James, you want to introduce? You're more familiar with Stacie and a gentleman racer than I am, so maybe you can introduce them and they can explain exactly what they did.
Sure. So you guys already know, obviously, Kevin and Evan. So Mike is a good friend of mine from the Gentleman Racer, who is has been prodding me, kind of mocking us as crazy West Coasters for being totalitarian. But while he's in Texas now, he is a refugee from the People's Republic of California, who misses the warm weather, or the warm, dry weather, but I think is enjoying the relative freedom and open spaces of Texas. I'll let you talk more about that, and then we'll kick it over to Stacie and Jason.
Yeah. I escaped about 2 years ago from California, so I'm glad to be here in Texas. And we started opening up stuff pretty quickly here, and have had kind of mixed results depending on where you're at. People are either really excited about it or very still scared. It's kind of a weird situation, but bars, restaurants are back open. Today I'm drinking my Bogart's Irish whiskey. It's a new one they sent me. It's pretty good, so I've been enjoying that. And no car troubles for me. We've got fleet vehicles coming back, which has been really cool. So I've been driving new press cars just about every week. So I'm kind of back into my groove for what I do.
What a classic shirt you have on, by the way, like 1960s NASCAR. I'd expect you to have the driver's suit on with the blue stripes down here, and it says golf right there. That's a classic. Where'd you pull that out of?
Well, actually, my company does make Gulf oil stuff, so I collect vintage automotive clothing, and then my company actually does make like this Gulf oil hat and other things like that. So, yeah, I do a lot of classic car stuff in the apparel side and in the content side.
Cool.
Yeah.
And just to give you a shout out, because we love supporting small and independent businesses. And obviously, you can go to thegentlemanracer.com for your blog. But what's the site for getting your fashion stuff?
So we have mpspeedshop.com. It's M as in Michael, P as in Paul, speedshop.com, and we do all kinds of vintage automotive and motorcycle stuff. We make a lot of different auto clothing and motorcycle clothing. We also have some other lines that we do as well, a lot of private label. We do stuff for different celebrities and YouTubers and things like that as well. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. And Beth Ann Decker loves the golf hat.
Yeah.
She lives in Johnson City, Tennessee. Hey, Beth Ann.
So, with that being said, I've known you for ages and ages, but I think Stacie is actually one of my oldest blogger friends that I've worked with her and her husband for, God, I don't know, probably it's been more than 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
I know you when I was just starting out. I think we met at, was it down in Asheville at the Biltmore Estate?
No,
And what's that? Waynesboro. Okay.
I have relatives there.
Even earlier than that.
Yeah.
Another great place for both motorcycles and automotive stuff, as well as the home of legendary popcorn, the infamous Moonshiner. But I'm really thrilled to have you guys on there, because I know not only are you guys both blogger influencers, but also you've got a lot of history on the corporate side of the restaurant business, but then also you and your husband have a restaurant now. So I'll let you talk more about that and kind of your perspective on what's going on in Georgia.
Okay. Wow. So we thought a little too quickly, I think, here in Georgia. And then we haven't gone out a lot. We haven't dined in anywhere. But we have hit, some of the smaller restaurants around here to either pick up food or to, just to grab something. But it seems like here all the fast food is opening, and still not so that some of the dining rooms, but for the most part, it looks like it's more of the finer dining establishments that are opening up and actually having people in them all the time. But it's because they're doing the 6 feet apart.
What city are you guys in? I used to live in Savannah. So
we're in Atlanta.
Atlanta. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Evan, you're in Redondo Beach, right? Or Hermosa Beach, one of those two Southern California beach cities. Have you, I don't believe the restaurants in LA County are open yet, the bars, is that right? And you're waiting to hear from Old Tony to see, Evan plays in bars a lot. So do you have an update on what might be happening for musicians?
What was that about musicians? I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
Well, do you have an update on what you and other musicians, if you're going to get back into bars, or maybe have you got any indication?
Yes and no. So first of all, I do play. Just to clarify, I actually live in Culver City, which is in LA. It's the west.
Oh my
side
God, you're not in the bubble?
Yeah, I don't live in the bubble.
Wow.
What Kevin is referring to there, in case you're watching from all over the country, there's a part of town that's called the South Bay. That's in LA. There's another South Bay in Northern California, and I play music mostly in the South Bay, and that's an area that's just south of the airport, and it's beautiful. You've got cities very famous for surfing and Beach Boys type of stuff. So Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, Torrance, Redondo Beach, Palos Verdes. That's the South Bay. So that's a region, that geographic region. And it's a lot of fun, lots of fun beach bars and restaurants. And that's mostly my main base of operations. That's mostly where I play music. But I actually don't live there. Now, the locals refer to it as the bubble because once you're there, you just never leave. And it's almost 100% true. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not much. So that's what he's referring to. So I live outside the bubble, but I work in the bubble. So,
have you got any indication from Old Tony's, the restaurant we mentioned on the pier, that they're going to? They had some issue whether it even can reopen or not, and you play there, and what's?
Yes, I just heard today. So Old Tony's is a very fun classic restaurant that's been open since the early 1950s, and that's really the main place that I play music. I play there 3 times a week for several years. So a lot of people associate me with that place. And just today, I received
breaking news on the virtual happy hour. Go.
Yeah, I wrote a song for them, and I write songs. I call myself an artist making a living as a craftsman. So I write a lot of music. I've got a lot of songs that I just wrote. I wrote one, as Kevin mentioned, and I wrote one that I'm about to debut today. But I also know hundreds of popular songs. So that's essentially how I make a living, by playing songs that people know and love. And I could take requests all night, and I'm good at reading the crowd, that kind of thing. So that's essentially how I make a living. But I do have a lot of original songs. If you put me in a situation or in a place, I'll probably write a song about it. And it'll usually be kind of a fun sing-along. And at any rate, Old Tony's is it's actually called Tony's on the Pier, and they used to have more than one restaurant, but the original is Old Tony's, and it's a seafood and steak restaurants right on the pier. You can see the waves crashing in. It's just a beautiful classic place that a lot of people know. It's been voted one of the top 10 beach bars in America by several publications. So it's a really awesome place. So they just sent the employees a letter, and I'm considered an employee, even though I'm a musician. I am considered, a part-time employee there. So they've informed us that they've been allowed to reopen, but later than other places because they're on the pier. So that makes a difference because they're trying to the government is still trying to limit access to those places that a lot of people congregate. So because of the fact that they're on the pier itself, they've been requested to open about 6 weeks later than everybody else. So places are already opening up all around LA and in the South Bay. But Tony's, as far as I know, according to that letter, is planning to reopen July 1st. So you may or may not quote me on that because I'm literally just a guy holding a guitar. Okay, so that's.
Well, we don't have to quote you. You just said it live on the air to like
exactly.
400 people.
Exactly.
So.
But what I'm saying is the reason I'm saying that is there's several employees, so it's not really secret information. But what I'm saying, it's not an official opening date yet. This just preliminary. They just sent us that letter saying, look, it looks like we're opening July 1st. Are you available to come back to work that day? So that's as far as I know, and that's fresh, brand new information as of this morning.
Well, cheers to that, even if it's not as soon as everyone would like, but cheers to at least having a date to march towards.
All right.
And then I definitely want to hear some of your music. You've been on the show a bunch of times, and I always enjoy it. But quickly, as far as dates, so is your restaurant open yet, Jason?
Yeah, no, there's one open up for just to go, and then one with some dining room now for a couple weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just it's a slow process.
A lot of spacing out.
Well, let's come back to that after Evan does his songs. I definitely like to hear from a restaurant perspective some of the challenges that you guys are going through. Because on this end, I think we can all speak that we would love to just kind of have everything open up magically and go back and enjoy our favorite places and our favorite foods.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's not as complicated. It's not as easy as just simply turning a switch on a door. But we will talk more about that when after Evan entertains us with an awesome one of his songs. How about that?
Bring it on.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for inviting me to do that. This is a song that I started writing about a month and a half ago. The sing-along part came to me as I was actually on my way to a real live gig. Those have been very few and far between during the quarantine. So it's called Isolating Our Bodies, and the sing-along part that came to me was, we're isolating our bodies, but our minds cannot be confined. And then, so I've had that part. And then last week I finished the song. I wrote some verses to it. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, I've got, I just made a nice recording of it, which will be available if you want to stream it or download it later. We're isolating our bodies to fight the disease, but our minds cannot be confined, and our hearts, when I live hard. When my head was underwater, I was scared that I would drown, but then you pulled me out. Whenever you need a hand, I'm always gonna be around. You know I got your back. And if someone trips and falls as they go stumbling in the dark, another shines a light. We are all sisters and brothers, and if we just stick together, we can work it out. We're isolating our bodies to fight the disease, but our minds cannot be confined, and our hearts, when I live hard. It can be discouraging when you are feeling all alone and there's no hope in sight. I've been there myself 1,000 times, and now I bring an army to our common fight. There is no one in the world that can do it all by themselves. No need to be so proud. It's okay to let somebody else take care of you when you need it once in a while. We're isolating our bodies to fight the disease, but our minds cannot be confined, and our hearts, when I live hard. It's discouraging when you are feeling all alone and there's no hope in sight. I've been there times, and now I bring an army to our common fight. There is no one in the world that can do it all by themselves. No need to be so proud. It's okay to let somebody else take care of you when you need it once in a while. We're isolating our bodies to fight the disease, but our minds cannot be confined, and our hearts will I live hard. Oh, oh, we're isolating our bodies to fight the disease, but our minds cannot be confined.
Whoa, yeah. We'll be singing that till you play the next song.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's awesome.
Thanks a lot.
So just before the song, we're kind of talking a little bit about the challenges that you guys face as a restaurant owner. And I know I've talked to a bunch of my restaurant friends, and frankly, there's so many things that I had never thought about. I kind of assumed, okay, well, these guys would be chomping at the bit to open up, but there's all sorts of stuff. So, what kind of challenges are you guys facing, as well as what kind of challenges are your friends and I guess competitors? But I guess everybody at this point is in it together. So what's everyone facing, and what can we do to help you guys?
Well, I mean, first of all, from the restaurant side, you have to. Hang on.
Sorry.
It's a customer calling for a to-go order.
Yeah, right.
Delivery, right?
Yeah.
You know, staffing can be challenging. First of all, you can't force people to come work. That doesn't make any sense at all. So just that in itself is very challenging. And there's other pressures too. It's not just staffing for the restaurant. Dude, what do they do? It's not just staffing the restaurant. It's your distributors are having the same challenges. They're having challenges getting product in. There's shortages on certain pork and beef products and things of that nature that they're just not available. You can't get them.
And then people have gone other places.
And you've got to have somebody to run those trucks and deliver the stuff. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that's happening. At the same time, there's certainly pressure to get open because you still have bills to pay. And even if it's not your labor costs, or even if you're not paying your employees, your landlord still is expecting the rent to be paid and things of that nature. And the restaurant industry in general people don't get rich off of one restaurant, generally speaking. There's a reason there's chains. It's because you only make pennies on the dollar, right? It's not a high margin industry. So it's very vulnerable to something like this, where everything just shuts down and there's no income coming in. That's a difficult place to be for a lot of restaurants. And I think in the industry, we're going to see a lot of places go out of business, a bunch of them.
Right.
Well, there's some stories in the San Diego newspaper here about it costing $60,000 to reopen, which I just find unbelievable. I did ask a local restaurateur about it, and he pretty much said, by the time you get things going again, it's not a bad estimate. I don't know from your end. He said one thing, of course, when I had heard this from the inside, is pest control, because the rats are running like crazy at places that have not been occupied by customers. A lot of places had a lot of problems with if they let their liquor bottles out and didn't put their liquor bottles away, they're having a huge infestation problem. So is it really $60,000 to reopen a place?
Well, you consider too, you need inventory. And that stuff's not cheap, and you probably closed with a bunch of it in that walk-in that was trash. We're talking high-value steaks, seafood, things like that they're just gone now. There's nothing you can do about it.
That is one thing he mentioned is the inventory, getting the inventory back.
Yeah, and so when you look at what you probably likely lost in the first place, and then combine that with you've got to bring all that stuff back in again. That can be a very expensive proposition on its own. It's all all these little things they add up.
Yeah, and the shields now that people are putting.
Sure,
out.
and there are other costs.
There are other costs now.
Masks. Those things weren't cheap in the first place. We used to work. We had the same boss for a while when we met. This dude would hide the gloves in the safe every night and give them out. So now the fact that his head must be exploding. The fact that you've got to it's so much more of a cost now to go through those things.
Sure, and you can't see as many people and things like that, so you don't have the ability to, even if people were rushing through the door, you simply can't see them all, because you're leaving tables empty in order to keep distances, safe, or reasonably safe, as safe as you can make it, right? And those.
Well, I don't know if, James, you've heard or not, but next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, June 2nd or whatever that is, the Little Italy in San Diego is going to have an experiment on Friday night. They're going to actually block off the street and put tables out in the street. And it's something that someone suggested to me down a couple weeks ago. We ought to do that here in the gas lamp, at least along Fifth Avenue. And this is going to be a trial for 3 hours in San Diego, where they're actually going to allow tables out on the street, which would expand. So maybe inside the restaurants, 50-60%, but you can be close to back 100%. Is that something in Texas and in Georgia that's under consideration?
I don't know if they're considering it, but it's a good idea.
Love it.
You know, and
Berkeley is
you
doing it too,
typically
by the way.
you need the city to help you with that. Obviously, they got to close down certain areas. There's also things with liquor licensing and that they would have to relax.
The ABC board has allowed an adjacent property on sidewalks and in parking lots and in non-pedestrian areas, which can be loosely interpreted as a street if you block it off.
Sure. Yeah, so things like that, certainly they do help. And I think moving forward, just as a society, we're going to have to figure this stuff out anyway. COVID's not going away anytime soon, and we can't all stay locked in our houses for the rest of our lives. So we're going to have to find that way to balance our personal safety with our need to have a society where there is some interaction at some level in order to function. You know?
Yeah, here in Texas, we're up to 25% capacity at restaurants for dine-in service right now.
25%?
Yeah, so you got to think about opening up your restaurant and only being able to have 25% of your people in the restaurant. I mean, you can't. It doesn't make sense for you. So
why would
I've
anyone
got a lot
open?
of friends who haven't opened the restaurants back up. They're still just doing the curbside and delivery and things like that, or doing special events or special things like that. But so many of them had to pivot so quickly to the delivery. I mean, doing inside pickup stuff, all that stuff, and those costs haven't gone away for them to operate that showroom. I mean, they're basically operating a very, very expensive commissary kitchen, but, and all that space is just empty, and they could be doing this in a little kitchen basically if they're doing deliveries. So it's been a big pivot. A lot of them have done some really innovative stuff. A lot of did like Easter brunches and stuff that they delivered and stuff like that was really successful, but a lot of them are still really concerned about what this looks like moving forward, as far as after we open up, just the slow ramp up to people feeling comfortable enough to go out and eat again in bulk. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, but stuff is slowly opening here. Bars and restaurants are pretty much open. They did continue the law where you can do delivery on alcohol, so that's been a big thing. So that's been really great. So hopefully we'll see that stuff, and they're saying that may become a permanent thing, so that'd be a really good thing if this moves forward, to give restaurants that flexibility with that too.
Yeah, I saw up in Chicago that they were actually starting to do bagged cocktails, which I guess are easier to produce than the canned cocktails. And so I think that would be, it's kind of an adult Capri Sun at that point, but it's kind of an evolution of the cocktails on tap. So I really hope that is able to continue, because it'd be nice to be able to kind of pick up a bag of Negroni and take it home.
There's some strange background stuff going on there. It sounds like the lightsabers from Star Wars. Oh,
I think it's Stacie and Jason are.
Yeah, we muted ourselves because apparently every neighbor in the neighborhood decided to start leaf blowing right at 1 second. There's like 3 going right now.
It's better than the homeless people screaming and the sirens going off in San Diego. So.
Oh my gosh! That's I call it the sounds of the gas lamp.
But you know what sound I really miss that I'm looking forward to coming back is the kind of the revelry and the drunken girls and guys as well, because it's not just girls that get drunk, obviously. But the pedicabs were a pain in my ass before blaring the music and stuff. But after about 2 or 3 months, I kind of miss the cacophony.
I like that music. That's fine. But some of these other downtown and the street racers. The gentleman racer, they're not very gentlemanly. They're driving around in these things with no mufflers, going around, gunning at the lights, and they can only go like a block or two at a time, but they're treating it like the 24 hours of Daytona, racing around the gas lamp. So I've had one time I was on my bike and I heard one go by. I said, I'm going to catch that son of a bitch. And I was trying to pedal after him on my bike. You know what it was? A freaking Nissan Sentra.
Yeah, a
Nissan
big
Sentra
exhaust on there. And what's so sad is that they've got so many great driving roads just outside of San Diego that they can go driving on.
I know. They could go down Harbor Drive and just, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean,
you're living in the Fast and Furious movies.
Evan, you got to come down here sometime, Evan, and hang out with us. Ashley was supposed to be today. Ashley was on her way down today, and her car started smoking once she got to Long Beach, and she pulled over, and she's sitting in the repair shop now trying to figure out what it is.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad because there are the jackasses with the Sentra with the adjusted exhaust, so it sounds really cool. But more often than not, it's these guys in Ghiblis and McLarens and stuff like that rented one because they have daddy's money for, $3,000 or $4,000 per day, and they're driving the McLaren in first gear, revving it between stop signs. And
That's
so
all they can do. They can only go a block.
you rev up to 10,000 RPM, and then they brake quickly. And I'm like, God damn it, you guys are. I understand that you're doing that because you have a hot blonde or a hot whatever in the passenger seat. You're trying to impress her, but every one of the rest of us guys that knows what the hell we're doing is making fun of you. So.
Yeah, those cars aren't fun for the city. I had to drive a McLaren 720 through Manhattan one time, and that's just not a good experience. There's just no fun when
I would have been scared to do that.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, but I mean, you have so many great drivers. That's one thing. One of the reasons why I did move to Texas is that I grew up in Southern California, and I got so tired of just the traffic and just being able to, where I'm at now, get out 5-10 minutes and be in the countryside and have some open roads is just the best part about living out here.
Well, I'm enjoying hitting the open roads.
While there's a pause in the leaf blowing, we have to tell you, we live in Atlanta. Georgia 400 is right near us. The street racing is insane around here. Next door is going nuts every night. I mean, from probably midnight, 11 to midnight, until about 3 or 4 in the morning, almost every night.
They clocked a dude at 176 miles an hour on 400 the other day.
They didn't catch him.
Oh, wow.
They just clocked him. Every night. It's crazy.
Evan, you got a song about hot cars racing around city streets? If he doesn't now, he'll probably have one.
I have. I have a song about you guys It's called Riding with the Top Down. But I had another one called I'm on Foot These Days. That's kind of like, because you guys are don't have a car today. So I was going to do that, but I could switch to my Top Down song, because that might be more appropriate. I haven't played it in a while, but let me bring up the words here so I
Your call.
You ready?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Let's do it, baby. Some cars look good in the showroom. They don't satisfy. And watch out for the odometer. That's got a lot of miles. Now my baby, she's got it all. She can put out and she's got style. There's a tiger in her tank. And man, can she go wild. Riding with the top down in my sexy driving machine. Underneath the open sky, with nothing in between. Me and my favorite girl, that's how we get around. Not a worry in the world. Riding with the top down. Yeah, with the top down. I've driven every import from Germany to Japan. I even had a Swedish model. I'd only wash my hands. Now I'm glad I found my girl. She's fun at every speed. Just cruising or burning rubber. She's got everything I need. Riding with the top down in my sexy driving machine. Underneath the open sky, nothing in between. Me and my favorite girl, that's how we get around. Not a worry in the world. Riding with the top down. Yeah, with the top down. Riding with the top down. That's how I get around. Riding with the top down. Always with the top down. Riding with the top down. In my sexy driving machine. Underneath the open sky. Nothing in between. Me and my favorite girl.
Hey,
Put that on your road trip playlist. That's awesome.
I agree.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, that's
And
great.
you know what? I would definitely love. Well, I wouldn't want to be driving with the chicken cock, but I would love to park on the side of the road and enjoy some of this whiskey while looking out at the ocean, social distancing ourselves from all the other folks around there, but definitely enjoying the freedom of an open air vehicle, whether that's a Wrangler with the sides down or a Mustang or something else. So,
Or
cheers
my-
to having the top down.
My 2004 BMW with a check engine light that never goes off. So
Our Jeep Wrangler, the brake light, even though it breaks down, it just never goes off. It's been years.
well, out here I have to get it smog checked in California, and it won't pass smog check unless the check engine light goes off.
Right.
And so every year I have to go through this,
Yep.
and every year it costs $1,000. So I've nicknamed my car the Boat. You know what Boat stands for, don't you? Break out another 1,000.
Love it.
Well, Jason has a Jeep, so
No doors?
Here's the thing about Jeeps. They work like they get you from point A to point B. I mean, half the stuff is broken, but it still goes.
Still goes. Yeah.
well, to be fair, it's
a 12-year-old Jeep. It still goes.
A 12-year-old Jeep was
it's still-
75,000
it's still
miles on
fine,
it, so
but-
it's good for a long time.
I
So.
mean, the brake light's always on, and the gas, when you fill it with gas, you just have to stop it yourself, because if you let it just like auto stop, it will overflow. So you learn that, you learn to listen for the sound of, it's almost full, and then quickly shut off.
We still haven't found the Easter eggs yet, though. Did you guys hear about that recently? Everybody's talking about the Easter eggs on the Jeeps.
The Jeep has all sorts of Easter eggs. I'm less familiar with the older ones, but I know the newer ones. And now that Manly is over Ram as well, I know that there's been a shit ton of Easter eggs even in the Rams too.
I love that. Love it.
We were driving with the kids the other day in the Jeep, and it started pouring out, and my daughter's in the back. She's complaining to me, "Dad, there's a leak coming in from the rear window." I'm like, it's a soft
Jeep.
it's a soft Jeep with half doors. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Leaks.
Yep. Move over.
But it's still a Jeep, and you can still go anywhere you want with it.
Oh my gosh.
But you can
Looks
still
good,
rip
yeah.
those half doors off, and on a beautiful day, it's great.
Well, I want to give everyone a shout out that apparently the wineries and tasting rooms in Sonoma County are starting to open as well. I just got an email from my wine club for Dry Creek Vineyards, who is one of my favorite places. Anybody who likes sailing absolutely needs to check out Dry Creek Vineyards, because they have a lot of sailing themed stuff.
Oh, wow.
Plus, the owner is a hardcore sailor racer guy. Anyhow, they I guess they've been given permission by Sonoma County to reopen, and in Santa Barbara, the city has given the permission to waive the food restrictions. So Santa Barbara tasting rooms are going to start opening. Although I think Santa Barbara is going to be a little bit more challenging, because a lot of those tasting rooms are in a very small retail places downtown. But either way, I am thrilled that it is happening, and I hope that it also is able to happen for our brewery friends as well, because some of them are serving beer and spirits, but I know, food, but I know a lot of them are just strictly tap rooms. So.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
James, go back to a question you asked earlier about how we can help restaurants. I mean, that's it. Just go to restaurants. It's interesting, though, because this new thing, it almost feels like VIP service. I mean, there's 4 tables in an entire restaurant, so everyone's taking care of you. Yeah. It's really cool, but I mean, that's spend money, and that's how to help these restaurants. That's how to help them stay in business. If you guys are doing drinks, I mean, if your state's letting drinks, grab the drinks that you usually get an appetizer, whatever you can do to keep, that's what's going to keep these places in business. The more of us that tell people, hey, go either, if you don't feel comfortable going in, get takeout. Takeouts, they're doing great things with takeout now.
Well, and reward the people that are doing a good job, I guess is what I would say. In other words, I've seen it around here. There are some restaurants that are doing a fantastic job. Everybody's in a mask. They're wearing them properly. Yep. They are sanitizing constantly. They are actively managing social distancing. And then there are places that I've been. We went through a drive-through the other day, and as you're looking in, the person that's answering, at the drive-through, taking the, doing the exchange, has got their mask around their jawline, and I look into
So does
and I
everyone
can
else.
see 3 other cooks in there all wearing their masks the same way. And to me, that tells me you don't take it seriously. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we've
and,
even seen that
and
with different basic locations of the same restaurant that's a local restaurant here, where the one on one street is doing an excellent job, and on the other side, so we know which one to go to now. So yeah, it's such a weird thing to have to be watching out for, but I think it's just kind of a basic thing. If you are going to survive this as a restaurateur, people have to trust you and have that level of trust. Even more so, everyone was always kind of leery about the guy spitting in your food type of thing now, but now it's a it's a real scary thing for people.
Well, and in all fairness to some of the restaurants, I was talking to one of my buddies actually from Patron's Corner, who I am going to be going down there probably Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure which, and I'm still not sure I want to. No offense to him, but just in general, I'm not sure I'm ready to go dine in at restaurants yet. But I told him I would go down there, and at the end of the day, I'll buy him a shot, and I'll buy myself a shot, and at least we can do tequila shots together. Cause I figured.
What about me?
You can come too, Kevin. But but in the process of that conversation, it was interesting because I was saying how I felt bad for some of the restaurants, and Kevin, you have a picture from Greystone, and it looked like everybody at Greystone was doing exactly the right thing, but there's one picture of the manager who was serving your wine without a mask on.
Well,
I know Sarah.
She just stepped out, and
exactly.
to help out. So,
and that's the point is that I know Sarah. I know Sarah is a phenomenal manager, loves her business. And by the way, if you're ever looking for a steak in San Diego, as much as I love my corporate guys, Greystone has the best steaks in San Diego, hands down. So go there, and I know they're diligent. But the challenge is you have a guy with a camera who snaps that one moment where she steps away to pour the wine, and it makes things look bad. So I've seen a lot of shit on the the eating and drinking groups on Facebook. There's some bad folks. I mean, El Perez did some bad shit. They should not have pretended they didn't know the regulations. But there's a lot of good people out there who step out of the kitchen or step out of the bar just to take care of a customer and forget that they need to put the mask back on. So just want to give that as a shout out to people to give the restaurant owners a little bit of leeway too, but don't patronize those who are belligerently ignoring the law.
Well, that's a nice transition, if you don't mind. I'll just briefly explain the bar and restaurant situation as I went out on Friday. Thankfully, my friend bought the dinner at Greystone, which is a really nice place in the gas lamp, and they were spot on professional. You have to wear a mask when you walk up to the establishment. You have to wear a mask when you're in there. You have to wear a mask when you're sitting down or if you get up and walk around. But you don't have to wear the mask when you're dining. So I actually use a bandana and I just pull it around my neck. And you don't have. So no diners are wearing a mask when they're eating, even when they're having conversations among themselves. They pulled out some tables. They're at 60% capacity, which was enough space in the tables. There was one table of 6 people, I believe. You can have a maximum of 10 people. But overall, I didn't really notice any difference between the current experience, and before. Once you got seated and you got down and you got comfortable, then I didn't really notice, any other real difference in going out to eat than I did before at this particular restaurant, which is pretty high end. I did go out to a bar later, and I had asked someone earlier what the rule was. I saw a bar open it up and said, "Hey, can I come and get a beer later? Is the band playing?" And she said, "No, the band's not playing just yet, and you have to order food if you're in a bar. So a bar just can't open up and start serving drinks. So they have to order food." So I'm thinking, well, you have to order an appetizer. And we were walking by this bar, which they actually had a musician in there, Evan. And we walked by, and my buddy wanted to go. Yeah, they actually had a guy.
Still not working doing these live streams, so I'm happy. And now you heard, I'm not really going to start at my main place till July, so I'm available.
Well, the one place in San Diego had a guitar.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if you'd like to stay in touch, my website is myname.com, and you can find me on all the socials, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and I try to be to make myself easy to find and easy to hire. So word of mouth is everything. So I encourage you to stay in touch. And yes, I'm available for sure.
through virtual concerts, which he's doing. He's doing a date night for 6 or 8 people. He's been doing that for the past 7 or 8 weeks, and in the South Bay and all the way up and beyond Culver City. What I was going to say when I walked into the bar was that I asked the door guy. We just ate. I wasn't hungry at all. I asked the door guy. I said, and before we go in, I said, "Don't we have to get food to get a beer?" And he said, "Oh well, just buy a bag of chips for $1." So that's food. So we went in there and had a beer. And I happened to notice walking around the next day that some places were not requiring people to actually have food with their drinks. Most people were, but it didn't seem to be like the policy was exactly completely enforced. So I think there's some variables and what people are doing and stuff. And I think the bar staffs and all are still trying to struggle with what they can do. No place is busy, by the way. The Gas Lamp is one of the most dynamic nightlife areas in the world, certainly in California. And Friday, Saturday night, you've got 3 or 4 people sitting in a bar, and that's it. So it's not like the places are jam packed. Although James, I think some of the beach cities here are a lot more crowded than I think they're having people wait outside and stuff.
Well, yeah, certainly the guys over at PB and OB. I had a friend who went down to OB the other night, and she said it was so crowded that she didn't feel safe even being outside waiting in line. And it's interesting because as people got trained to do takeout and pickup orders, now that they can do dine-in, some of the smaller establishments are finding it's not even safe to allow 2 lines. And one of the ramen shops here in San Diego actually just shut down their dine-in because they said that the lines to get into the dine-in, because it's a small place, they only have a few tables, was actually interfering with the business that they'd already established for the takeout. And so, I think there's going to be some really interesting long-term solutions. I know, I'm not sure, Stacie, if you and I have talked about Evelyn. She used to be at Norwegian Cruise Lines, but now she's the director of marketing for Reef Technologies, which is actually doing essentially food trucks, but in a central kitchen combined with delivery service. So it's all kind of integrated that way. And I think that's going to be a big part of the restaurant business going forward, so that they don't have to worry about useless footprint of a front desk area that could otherwise be tables.
It's interesting you say that, James, because it was already changing a little bit before all of this happened. We were already seeing in the casual restaurant market, think like the chains and what have you. They were seeing more and more of their guests using takeout services and fewer people coming in to sit down and actually eat in the dining room. And that was happening before COVID. And this has just kind of accelerated all of that for them, for many of them. And to the point where they've started doing things like adding delivery and what have you. You're going to see restaurants have, I think, permanently changed maybe in what they look like.
The funny thing here in California is that for the last 2 years, and it's really been a longer trend than that, but especially the last 2 years, the environmentalists finally started having the regulations doing the right thing. And I'm fundamentally a libertarian, but I also like having a clean environment. And we got rid of plastic bags, we got rid of plastic forks, we got rid of styrofoam containers. And styrofoam containers are terrible for the environment. But then, what happens? How do you serve pho in takeout without having plastic or styrofoam?
Well,
it doesn't work in a paper bag, So I hope that there's some innovation on that side as well. But it's interesting seeing those things being rolled back in the same way. Kevin, you and I were talking the other day about you went to the grocery store and they don't allow you to bring your own bag in now. You couldn't bring your own backpack in the door.
The grocery outlet does, but you can't. Interesting. You can't. They now let you bag it inside the store when you check out, but you can't have it resting on the on their checkout counter thing. So you have to hold it in your hand and put your stuff in it. Rouse doesn't. Rouse around the corner. You can't walk in with a bag. You have to get one of their baskets and walk around. Although what's interesting is, you self-checkout, you have to touch the buttons, and all that stuff. So your hands are all over stuff. People are going on the shelves and, touching stuff. What about the produce, tomatoes? Have you ever tried to open that plastic bag without, wetting your fingers first?
Your fingers.
I mean, you can't. So I have to go get a thing that's unsanitary that I think, even though they might have sprayed it down, but how do you get the bags undone? and I'm trying. So I take the outside of the bag, and that's how I fill the tomatoes, and then I just kind of wrap it up in the bag. Kind of silly stuff. And actually, Ralph's still has, when you do the self checkout, I ask you how many bags do you have. I always put 0. So
You're stealing.
I am stealing their plastic bags. I'm sorry. But by the way, I will also want to mention, and I want to ask everyone here too, it's National Burger Day. I know what makes a great burger. I've got the burger standard. Evan, you know it, Hercules in Manhattan Beach, which is the standard by which they're all judged. And James and I have had discussions about Hodag and stuff, but I know what makes a great burger. Quality meat, small bun, simple. I don't know what it's like in Texas. You guys own a restaurant in Atlanta. James, Evan, let's chime in about, if you don't mind me going off course a little, but National Burger Day. So if you want to talk, I'd like to talk a little bit about burgers because I love them.
I love a good burger.
Well, then you just spoke first. So tell us what a Atlanta burger, the epitome of Atlanta burgerdom, looks like.
Well, it's so tough because he cooks at home every night, and since quarantine, he's also started making his own bread. I got some sourdough starter from a lady in California that's 140 years old. Got it, and he starts making bread and everything too. So it's hard because the hottest burger in Atlanta is the Holman and Finch burger, and so that's what everybody talks about. You can get it at the stadium, and I'm pretty sure it's ground sirloin, but yeah, mine is more like what's on it. It's got to have cheese, bacon, pickles.
You didn't mention the Varsity, the Atlanta landmark.
Yeah. When you're talking burgers, because there's different kinds of burgers. So sometimes I want like a bloody, like mid-rare, big beefy burger with, like I would get at a steakhouse, right? But then there's other times where I'm looking to, maybe I'm making it at home and you've got a couple cuts of beef blended together, and you leave it kind of loose, and you put it in a real hot cast iron, and so you get those like nuggets, almost like the inside of an English muffin, where it gets crispy but then still nice and juicy and greasy.
No, I'm curious on the cast iron that you're doing. When you cook on the cast iron skillet, are you doing it? Are you adding oil to it, or are you just letting it hit the pan dry?
The key is you got to use a cast iron skillet that's only slightly bigger than the burger. So you use a small skillet, so that you put it in there, it catches the oil, and the burger starts cooking in the oil.
So you're frying it in the oil. Okay, I got you.
And you leave it really loose. You kind of like have to lay the patty in there, or it'll fall apart. Let it go for a couple minutes, then flip, let it go. And when you flip, you put your cheese and then put your buns on top so that they all kind of steam. And that's more like a Five Guys kind of, it's cooked all the way through, a little greasy, but very satisfying.
But you're doing a fairly thin patty, not a thick patty.
Yeah, you're not going for that big steakhouse patty. No.
Well, I just got some Neiman Ranch patties that I'm looking forward to trying out from Purdue Farm. So,
sure.
I generally I like them a little bit more lean. I like more like a 90-10, but an 80-20 definitely is going to melt that fat and give you that nice frying experience. So
here in Texas, everybody goes on about where their beef came from because it's cattle country. So it's whether it's from 44 Farms or one of the other big cattle. That's what the thing is. That's what everyone advertises on their menus is where their beef came from. So
well,
that's
interesting.
More important factor usually out here.
And grass-fed beef definitely tastes much different than grain.
Yeah, most definitely.
So that's always important. 9 times out of 10, I'd prefer that. But at the same time, I'd be lying to you if I said that I didn't enjoy a $1 a pound log of ground beef that I can get at Aldi. I mean, there's something great to be an American, where I can get beef as cheap as possible, but I definitely appreciate a good, no hormones, grass-fed, American-raised thing. Cause I know one thing we're seeing now is that now the country of origin rules are being lifted, and I think that's applying to beef too. Although the Cattlemen's Association has a much better lobbying group than some of the other meat producers. We're starting to see beef come in from all sorts of different countries that you wouldn't even have thought of.
Yeah, it's certainly changing. If we're out here, we've got Texas A&M University here. They're a huge agricultural school. And, there's a lot of just a lot of beef industry news happening around here. That was a big controversy, is the relabeling or not having to label USA made. Also, the biggest controversy is the Beyond Meat. They can't stand how that's being marketed as like a meat, using the word meat to market it. It's just really fun because like I grew up in a dairy community when I was younger. And I moved out here, and they're all about beef cattle. So like we would always have the debates about like what was cheese and all that stuff where I grew up. And now here it's like, well, that's not meat. You can't call it meat. And it's really entertaining seeing how passionate people are about their beef products and their meats and all those things they produce, but just all these little kind of regional things that people focus on.
For me, it was always.
I actually like the Beyond Burger. It's not beef. It doesn't taste like beef, but I actually kind of like it. So I'm that weird. California's growing on me, apparently.
I guess so.
Well, we just have tuned it in, the official hairstylist of pubclub.com, Nisha Haynai, who happens to be a vegetarian, and we're talking about meat. But, she's given me some good tips I've written on pubclub.com about when a vegetarian or vegan, I have learned the difference, goes to a party at someone's house, like a barbecue or Thanksgiving dinner or something, and they don't eat, someone who doesn't eat meat, how they can actually blend in and not starve themselves. Whatever big tips, which makes total sense. And she said, eat before you go. That way you get to eat what you want. You're not having to worry about, everyone else going in there and doing all that stuff. So that was really a good tip. Hey, Nye, good to see you. How bad's my hair look? Miss you. Need you soon.
Well, I think the other big tip is don't be a douche. Don't go in there and say, but I'm a vegan.
No, exactly.
That's great.
That's
I'm glad you're
point.
vegan, but like, I like, Lamborghinis. I don't go around saying like, I like Lamborghinis.
And don't go push it on everybody else. You know that meat's bad for you, and so that's another one.
Of course I know the meat's bad for me, but it tastes delicious.
Have you tasted bacon?
And I will die happy, thank you very much.
Yeah, so those are a couple of our tips, if any vegans besides her are watching, to blend in and fit in, particularly as 4th of July is coming up, because you're going to be going, hopefully we'll be going to a lot of house parties and stuff, hopefully stuff like that. Evan, have you had the burger at Hermosa Beach Yacht Club?
I have not. Apparently I should try that.
You should do that. Have the Commodore burger, and it's got the mushrooms and stuff on it. Make sure Big Kev is back there working.
I play music at several yacht clubs, but I have not. Oh, that's an actual restaurant called the Hermosa.
It's not a yacht club, and it's it's a complete dive bar.
I was going to say, why don't they hire me to play some of their parties? Matter of fact, I played a online party for the King Harbor Yacht Club, which is a yacht.
That is a real yacht club.
That was fun. We had a lot of people. We had over 50 people in attendance. So that was a big success. But as far as burgers, I don't think I have anything intelligent to contribute. And also, I want to be diplomatic, because I play music at a lot of different restaurants. And I'm not a big burger eater. But I do enjoy a great burger once in a while. So there's one place that where I love their burger, and there's other places where they're just fine. But I was gonna say, and I also like to cook. So Stacie and Jason were mentioning how they really enjoy cooking, and I've been eating my own cooking the whole time, except one party where I played where they fed me, and I enjoy cooking almost as a hobby. I occasionally I'll watch like YouTube videos of cooking videos, and I saw a video. This was actually recommended to me. I think the guy's name is Alton Brown.
Yeah,
Alton Brown's awesome.
Heard of him?
He's from Atlanta.
He's great.
He's from Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, he has an amazing video on how to cook the perfect burger, and it's a mixture of as you were mentioning, Mike, what kind of beef and how you grind it and how you cook it and that kind of stuff. And it's very interesting. It seems pretty simple. So since we're talking about that, I found that video very enjoyable, and I would recommend that.
If you can find it, I can't remember what the name of it, and it may not be on YouTube. It may be on YouTube, because YouTube has a lot of stuff that probably isn't official. But he did an amazing series where he took a BMW motorcycle and drove the entire Mississippi, from Minnesota all the way down to New Orleans, and looking at the kind of regional foods and that kind of stuff along the route. And that was a really fun show.
Interesting. Also watching as a sushi chef, Dion. So, hey, Dion.
You know,
Well,
once again, StreamYard is not feeding me all the stuff that you're seeing.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know if it's running on just my page, but the comments are coming on. You're seeing a couple on the Pub Club Facebook page, but I see people tuning in. It might be separate from yours. I'm not sure how it's set up, but you're seeing a few of the comments, but maybe not all of them. I don't know. I don't understand this technology. We were doing one. By the way, I would like to say that the other day on Tuesday, we did a show from St. Augustine in Ponte Vedra Beach. And we had a restaurant going out, and they were outside cooking on the grill. It was a little windy, but the weather was nice and good there. And the very next day, the weather was so bad, they had to cancel the SpaceX launch. The weather's still bad. We go into Saturday, but they're not going to be able to launch on Saturday because of the weather. But I just want to say when we were there in the area, the weather was fine.
Because we brought the California sunshine.
That's right. And a good shout out to the fine folks. And there's Dion. A fine shout out to the fine folks at St. Augustine, and we learned a lot about some pirate stuff there. They got a distillery. They've got some really cool stuff there. They got a lot of golf. I mentioned I was in the Golf Hall of Fame in Ponte Vedra only because I hold the record for most lost golf balls on a Florida golf course.
and I'm going to challenge you for that because I think I could beat your record.
Well, I tell you what. Actually, the worst I did was. When I played, no political stuff here. It's just a golf course, the Trump National in Palos Verdes. And I think I was -5 that day. I lost like 8 or 9, but found 4 or 5 of them. So I was.
You know, there's so many jokes that I would like, and I'm not even necessarily a Trump hater, although his stuff is indefensible most of the time. But there are so many jokes, but I'm just not even going to go there because I don't want to start a war.
Well, we don't want to be political here anyway. We like everybody because, as was it Michael Jordan said once, even Republicans buy Nikes or whatever he said. So we
not everything has to be political. I enjoy
exactly.
I enjoy hanging out with my ultra liberal friends. Hey Phil, you're an a-hole a lot of times, and but you're a really good guy when we're not talking about politics. So. Yeah, I think that's something that everybody needs to acknowledge because Mike, you could be the other end of the spectrum, sort of a little bit left of you and way the hell right of Phil. But when we're all out there on a trail, we're all having some whiskey at the end of a ride. We're all guys just having fun and enjoying the outdoors. So, cheers to that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all about. Getting past petty differences and just having fun.
I don't like politics because it's so political. Now you talked about college football. You talked to me about college football. Are you in Aggie land?
I am in Aggie land, and I'm from California, so that was a crash course for me to learn all about this kind of crazy football culture. And
I want to go to a game there one time.
It's pretty wild. I've been here for 2 years now, and my fiance actually works for Texas A&M, went to Texas A&M, she works for their foundation. So we're very ingrained into Aggieland culture, and it is definitely a whole different level of identity than I'd ever experienced. In Southern California, our schools like shared football fields because like nobody really cared. Like it's like, oh, you play football? That's cool. Here, like you're driving around like, wow, they got a college in this town? You're like, no, that's the high school stadium.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Atlanta's got some of that going on too. Certainly Georgia, well, all the SEC areas.
Yeah, just in general. SEC.
I used to live in Savannah, and I used to work at the morning news, and I believe we covered 58 high schools in our area. Now you can imagine trying to get football results and basketball results in from 58 high schools in the area. And now let me tell you, folks, I've driven all around dark parts of Georgia, down the highways and stuff, in Metter, Georgia, and I covered a game in Metter, Georgia one time. This little tiny stadium, and I plugged my laptop in, and it shorted out the stadium lights.
What the heck kind of laptop did you have?
You know what it was? They were like, no, that's too much power there.
What I love is that every town you go to, especially it's like starting in Texas and going, eastward in the South, is like it doesn't matter when they won it, it'll be like, state football champions 1937.
I know.
And that sign will be repainted every single year and be pristine. The rest of the town will be falling apart, but that state championship sign is maintained to the perfection of its original intent. It's just amazing.
You have got the culture down perfectly.
It's pretty fun.
So,
Evan, what, you got another song?
Oh, yes.
You have like 10,000 songs. You have a foodie song, a burger song?
I have a drinky song.
Hey, I haven't heard the Fire Chief song.
Oh, you want to hear the Fire Chief song? Okay.
Let me give you a little quick background while he gets ready.
Go ahead.
You mentioned
the PR company.
Yeah, we mentioned Tony's earlier. It's Redondo Beach, right on the pier. The waves crash under your feet. He plays upstairs, what's called the Crow's Nest, and they have a signature drink there called the Fire Chief, and it's like a double Mai Tai. And you go there and you have one, and you get happy. You have two, you're talking to everyone else in the bar. You have three, you're yelling out the window trying to talk to everybody who will walk by. So it's a very social kind of drink, and they have it at Old Tony's. It's a signature drink there, and they've had it. Tony's been around since before Disneyland. And they've had that drink every year, and they have these souvenir glasses, and they're threatening to close because they're not going to open until July 1. They don't know if they can stay in business. But Evan plays there a lot, which adds to it right at sunset. So, Evan, the Fire Chief song.
You got it. I'm here for you guys.
And then when after Evan's done, let's do around the horn and kind of just give a shout out to 2 or 3 of our favorite restaurants that are either opening or in the process of opening, and we'll then wrap the show up and go home.
Great idea.
Just, stay home. So, Evan, the floor is yours.
Sounds good. Drink a Fire Chief. Yeah, a Fire Chief. It'll take away your troubles, steal them just like a thief. So drink a Fire Chief and another Fire Chief. Just what the doctor ordered for blessed relief. Yeah, that's the Fire Chief. The cop pulled me over and said, "Get out of the car. Where have you been?" I said, "Officer, I just came from Tony's bar." He goes, "Well, that explains why you're only wearing your white cotton briefs. You must have had one too many of those famous Fire Chiefs." Since it was my first time, he let me go with a warning. I took a cab home, but couldn't remember a damn thing in the morning. I went looking for my ride, but the parking space was empty. That's when it all started coming back to me. I had a Fire Chief and another Fire Chief. I started speaking French, then ordered an aperitif. Then I had one more Fire Chief. Come to think of it, I may have had 2 or 3 more Fire Chiefs. I forgot my name and my political beliefs. It all started with a Fire Chief. There was a bald guy on guitar playing all my favorite tunes. Man, that's the most fun I ever had in a saloon. I ate some calamari and shrimp that tasted like coconut. My breath was so strong you could light it up. It's a Mai Tai with 151 rum. It'll take any Einstein and make him dumb. You could call it the fire bomb, fire engine, fire truck. The bartenders know what you mean. They'll keep pouring. It's tasty and sweet. Comes in a souvenir glass. They're really nifty. I like them. All the regulars have stash. Even the president, when he's in town, he comes to Tony's. He calls himself the commander in Fire Chief. So drink the Fire Chief and another Fire Chief. It's the top head honcho, the big boss of all the drinks. Yeah, that's the Fire Chief. They call it the Fire
That is so funny because it's so true.
There you go. It wouldn't be so funny if it weren't true.
That is great. Add that to your playlist. Matter of fact, James, you have Evan's info to throw up so people can find him and maybe make their own playlist.
Yeah, I encourage you to stay in touch. I got lots of songs.
You know, I wasn't able to throw that up there right now, but
Kevin and Pub Club, a song called "Where the World Goes to Party." That's the song I wrote right before my "Isolating Our Body" song. Which I am now the only website in the world with my own theme song, thanks to Evan, and it's awesome. There you go. So
I thought "Where the World Goes to Party" is the Ozarks right now, right?
I'm happy to work anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just a guy holding a guitar, and I'm blessed to I work hard, and but I'm also enjoying playing music for a living and writing music for a living. So I'm always happy to be of musical help. Please
Well, go to facebook.com and hit there. You see how he spells his name there, Evan Charles, and you can find him.
Yeah, Evan with a Y. The Y is for why be normal. A friend of mine said that. That's hippie parents for you. I definitely be grateful for any musical opportunities. So thank you for keeping that in mind. And thank you so much for inviting me on the show. It's always a blast.
Well, thanks for coming. I'll give you a big cheers for all your songs. Your new song, the Fire Chief song, has got me laughing so much. So that's awesome.
And by the way, if I may, I add this. You guys were talking about being vegetarian, vegan. It reminded me of a true story of a friend of mine who's he's a little bit older musician, wonderful, played with a lot of famous people. So while he was touring with some famous artists, and he's vegetarian, and he said back in the day it was really difficult to find vegetarian food around the country. Of course, he lives in California, so it wasn't so difficult. But I think he was in the South, and he had the same. This happened to him many times. He would walk into a restaurant with the band, and he'd say, "Look, I'm vegetarian. What can I order?" So many of the waitresses would go, "Oh, you're vegetarian, so that means you eat chicken? Is that okay?" And he would get that all the time. So.
Well, it's tough too because you could probably say, "Oh, okay, I can have collards." Oh no, that's cooked with lard.
Yeah.
Oh, you could have some okra. No, that's fried.
Yeah, so that was about 30 years ago. He would get that. So he told me that story. I just thought I'd share that with you. That was a pretty fun reaction. But he got that more than once. So.
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy Phil Chambers, the world's most dangerous Canadian. I call him because whenever I go up to see him in Whistler, next thing you know, we're doing like 20 shots. And he was a bartender, so he knows he'll go up there and do this. Whenever I see him leaning over the bar talking to the bartender, I know I'm in trouble. So, Phil, thanks for watching. And he's worked at the Fairmont hotels in Whistler and by the Vancouver airport and Victoria, the big place in Victoria where the Queen of England has stayed. So, Phil, thanks for tuning in and watching. What's that? The Princess or something? What's that called in Victoria?
I think it's the Fairmont Princess.
Yeah, I believe that's it.
See, teamwork.
Teamwork, exactly.
No, that's a great hotel in Victoria. I was there when I was a kid. Went to some afternoon teas. Now I can't afford it, but when I was a kid, I could afford it because my grandparents were paying for it. So.
Well, he invited me. He invited me up.
Grandparents.
He invited me up there to just go and hang out there, and I said I'd rather be in Vancouver because there's more girls.
Now the Fairmont Vancouver is.
I introduced him to a couple of crazy ones in Vancouver too. He'll never forget that night.
Well, and then there was some silence because
there was some silence.
The married folks sitting there going,
"What?
Huh?
Yeah.
Do I laugh? Do I risk having my girlfriend or partner or whatever? No. So Kevin, enjoy your bachelordom. Enjoy the freedom that comes with, but. I'm currently enjoying my marriage.
As you should. You've got a wonderful wife. As you should. You got a wonderful wife.
But I tell you what, speaking of restaurants reopening, I just got an email from Floribama, which is
What?
amazing.
They sent you an email?
Place.
I'm so jealous.
They do.
What? You're the email? Oh, I'm so jealous.
I love Floribama.
So not only is Floribama open, including a very detailed. So for all y'all who haven't ever been to Floribama, it's not just one restaurant. It's just kind of this weird shack of shacks that kind of there's this place and that place, and it's all kind of messed up. But it's a super cool place to go. They got great establishment there. Not only are they open in certain places, looks like most of the places are actually open, but they were very proud to let me know that their church is now open too. So not only can you go there, get a fantastic hamburger, get a delicious mudslide, get your liquor on 15 ways to Sunday, but you can repent as well.
Sin and repent at the same place. It's amazing.
From what I've heard about that place,
God bless Alabama.
From what I've heard about that place, you need to do that. It's right on the beach and on the Florida-Alabama border. I'm jealous because I went to Alabama and all the students and said they've all been there. I'm from Tennessee, so I never actually went down there. So I've never been to the Floribama. And one of my bucket list items is I think it's the end of April, sometime around May, they have the annual mullet toss, where they actually toss the mullet fish.
Not the mullets.
No, not the mullets, the fish, the mullet. They have a mullet toss, a beach party. And in Florida, unlike here in snooty California, you can actually drink on the beach there. And that's one of my bucket list items is to go to Floribama for the mullet toss contest. The interstate, the interstate mullet toss competition or something.
And the key lime rum cream that is by Blue Chair, I think, which is Kenny Chesney's rum company. Because you know what, every A-list music star and even some B and D and Q list ones need to have an alcohol brand. But in all seriousness, I love Kenny Chesney, but I don't give a shit if his name is on it or not.
Right.
Blue Chair does some good stuff. So
Kenny Chesney from my hometown of Knoxville, Tennessee. His father taught basketball, Mr. Chesney, at West High School, where I went to high school. So
get him on the show.
Well, I don't know the dude, but I would like to.
He's from your hometown.
I know. We should have got Knoxville. You know, our fiddle player was great, but maybe next time we do visit Knoxville, they can get Kenny Chesney on for us.
Yeah, we need to have Evie back on.
She was great.
She was really great.
Mike, you would love her. You look like a good old Southern boy now, even though you're a California guy with the old redneck hat and the beard. You know, so
that's true.
We had a fiddle player on from. She's actually from. Where's she from? She's from North Dakota, right?
She's from North Dakota.
Yeah, but she was playing the fiddle just like a good old Southern girl on one of her shows, which featured Knoxville, Tennessee, and the Knoxville Craft Breweries, and it was awesome.
You gotta love a lady who loves beer and loves whiskey, plays the fiddle, and can hold her own talking to a bunch of guys. I mean, that's, I'm lucky that I married one, but they're few and far between because, it's all good. But anyhow, enough of me and stuff. Let's go around the horn and do a shout out. Kevin, what are some of your favorite restaurants in San Diego that you're looking forward to going back to now that things are opening?
Well, because they were so nice, and they always have been. It's out of the pubclub.com budget most of the time. But Greystone was great. It's a fantastic steakhouse. They also own the what's the next door? The Butcher Cut next door.
Cut.
Butcher's Cut next door.
Place, but more of a hip upscale, not upscale, but not as classic, I guess. But really chic. California chic, I think, would be a good.
I actually had the chicken at Greystone because beef just sits really heavy in me, and I prefer that. But I'm always afraid of ordering chicken in even a fine dining restaurant because it's always dry. But there it was nice and juicy and moist. So shout out to Greystone. I want to go to a couple of burger joints, National Burger Day, and James, we have to go there. And a couple of people from the apartment want to go there to Rocky's in PB, Pacific Beach. It's a dive bar. It's kind of like Ercles. They have great, great burgers. I haven't had one in 10 years. But I want to go. James, we need to go up there and have a burger at Rocky's.
I've heard good things about them, but I've also been told, if that's the place I think it is, I've also been told do not ask for substitutions because you will not get one. In fact, you'll be thrown out if you ask for substitutions. So.
Oh, I don't think so. It reminded me of Ercles. Again, it's been 10 years since I've been there. And it's not on the beach, Pacific Beach. It's inland somewhere. I don't remember where it is. But give out to there. And then our chef, Anthony Moretta, who's from Chicago, recommended Balboa which is up in what they call Bakersfield. I'm still on my way around San Diego. I'm from, as Evan said, the South Bay of LA. But a place called Bankers Hill. I don't know why it's called Bankers Hill, but it's up a hill from the gas lamp. And there's a place called Balboa.
That's where all the rich people were.
Oh, okay. Well, Balboa on Bankers Hill. I like to go up there and test their burger out. I hear it's a cool place. And so I guess those are a couple. I like Brigantine. On Monday because they have all-night happy hour. They have really good, James, I like their tacos, okay? And
they have some of the best fish tacos in town, I think.
They have great fish tacos. You take the ferry over there at Coronado or you take the train up to Del Mar. So a shout out to the Brigantine all-night happy hour on Monday because get the margaritas and the shakers because otherwise, don't ask me why, if you just get a margarita, it's that crappy mix. But for some reason, the shakers, they make them fresh. Your pubclub.com margarita tip of the day.
No, as far as Brigantine, it's unfortunately we're not going to be able to have it this year, but they actually have one in what do you call it, in the ballpark, and on Taco Tuesday I think it's like $2 for a taco when it's normally $4 if you go to the restaurant. But they're in the process of opening up a new location right next to the Midway as well, which
when they open all that up on the waterfront, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So anyhow, sorry to interrupt you. I just I geek out on Brigantine. They're a restaurant group here in town, but they do a really good job across the board at the various properties. They've got one on Shelter Island. I don't think is actually Brigantine. Heather, what's the one on Shelter Island that we go to?
Well, Brigantine's across the street. It's owned by Brigantine.
You know what it's called?
Catch.
Catch. So Catch is right on the water, so you can sit there and enjoy the view, enjoy the atmosphere. But yeah, Brigantine Group does a great job, and I would not be opposed if someone from Brigantine is watching this and invites us there for some fresh seafood.
Exactly. Or the Valley High. I always get hammered at the Valley High where they have these incredibly strong Mai Tais, which is in Shelter Coast, Shelter Island, whatever it's called.
Shelter Island.
So
what about you, Mike?
Well, for me, we've been really kind of looking forward to going to locally here in College Station, a restaurant called The Republic. It's a really nice steakhouse, sit down, really nice restaurant. We've been kind of adding all the things that we were supposed to go out like for celebratory dinners for like birthdays and engagements and things like that. So we're going to kind of combine them all into one eventually and probably go in the next couple of weeks once things kind of open back up fully and we kind of figure out who's got all the right procedures in place. But back in Waco, where my sister lives and where I was at just before moving down here was my good friend owns a bar and coffee shop called Dichotomy. And it's called Dichotomy because it's a coffee shop in the morning and it's a bar at night. And they did some really cool stuff to kind of keep their customers engaged while all this was going down. They actually did this really cool take-home bar menu, which is the home bar guide to the apocalypse, which is really cool. And it's all their kind of favorite recipes, so you can make them at home and kind of keep up. And they did a lot of live stuff and live streaming, so you could like do mixology classes and stuff with them, and you could pick up kits on the way and take them home and then make the drinks at home live with them. So it's pretty cool. And looking forward to just getting back to be able to go and order a drink and hang out with Brett and the guys down there. So those are kind of the two that we're kind of excited for. But there's a lot of really great restaurants here in Bryan College Station and then in the Waco area just up the road.
Is there a go-to restaurant like every college town has, like a where everyone when they come back in town when they go to? What would that be at College Station?
It's called the Dixie Chicken. It's a Dixie Chicken Oil Company or something like that. It's like the full name. But there's a couple of those around town. Actually, we had a huge storm yesterday, and their roof collapsed on their oldest restaurant. So,
oh my goodness, I heard about that.
That on top of everything else happening right now, but they'll get that back up. And there's also the Northgate area, which is right across from campus, which is like where all the dive bars and dollar taco places and stuff like that are. That's usually pretty busy too.
So where Pub Club would be hanging out, I see.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how about you guys, Stacie and Jason? And I know we should obviously make sure we give a shout out to your own restaurant, which I think you have 2 locations. Is that right?
Yeah, Matza. Matza's on Edgewood Avenue downtown in Atlanta, and then it's in Decatur on the square as well. Naples style pizza. So we're most looking forward
nice.
to. I think our first stop is going to be a restaurant called Mission and Market. very upscale fine dining. It's a friend of mine who I worked with 20 years ago at Buckhead Life Restaurant Group, which is huge in Atlanta. All of the people that own restaurants in Atlanta now basically came from there as $9 an hour cooks at one time. And so we during the past several months, every Thursday, Chef Ian Winslade, one of the owners of the restaurant, has fed people in the restaurant community. So we volunteered there many times with Huntley as well and packed meals for people that were laid off in the industry. They could just drive by, pick up a meal.
cool.
And so
Awesome.
because of that and other restaurateurs like him, there's a hashtag called Georgia Hospitality Together. I'm basically going to go down there and see all of these restaurants that really helped their employees and did stuff. We're going to hit them.
These were the people that genuinely they cared, and these are the guys that are really trying to do the right thing, open the right way, and during the crisis, where they're also going, well, we're not going to throw this food away. Let's feed people. Let's find a way to make this work to get through this and help our community.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And they're
We wanna
opening their
support those
patio.
people.
So they've got a huge patio. It's an office building, but they have a huge space. And they could probably get about 10 tables out there with at least 6 feet between them. So it's going to be, that's where we're going to go. But I love the idea of a patio. I don't know why. It just makes me feel a little better than being inside a restaurant.
Well, that's the big feeling here in San Diego, is that a lot of people, even people that have spent a lot of time quarantined, are like, I'd be okay outside.
Yeah.
And particularly someone who, knows how the indoor stuff works and air conditioning and stuff, and stuff can get blown around in air conditioning.
Right.
She's much more comfortable being outside
Yes.
than she would be going and sitting inside. So that's one thing. And hopefully maybe, a good thing come out of this, that we can actually block off Fifth Avenue here, which is the big restaurant street in downtown, and Little Italy once or twice, a weekend, to block off the streets out there, and we can actually have more of, outdoor dining, which would be great. We'll certainly have the weather for it.
I wouldn't be opposed to that on a permanent basis, to be honest. Honestly, right now I never go to Little Italy at all, because even though the street is there, there's never parking, and and the street itself is a parking lot.
You can get there for free running Fred.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So block the damn street off. Let's just have some beer and wine gardens permanently there, in the same way with 4th or 5th Street.
I completely agree with that. It would be awesome.
And that's my hope for all this. It's a shitty way to have innovation.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we're here, we're finding out a lot of rules don't make any sense. Why wouldn't you not be able to open up your winery because you don't serve food? That's just stupid. So waive the rule and let these guys make money again. If there's really safety issues, then let's do that. But I think it's thrilling that across the board we're going through these archaic laws and evaluating, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And I'm hoping that we can kind of prune those and come out of this stronger. Again, it's a shitty way to do it, and I wish that 100,000 people hadn't died to get my alcohol able to be, picked up at a restaurant. But since it's happening, let's hope we can get some good stuff out of it, and across the board. But anyhow, from our perspective, I just definitely want to give a shout out to Patron's Corner, who, is it the best food in San Diego? No. Is it the best drinks in San Diego? No. But they're damn good. And I like them. And I think
hope
more
you do
than
a good job marketing them.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no, and I don't mean that they're bad.
He's managing expectations.
I really like my point is that what makes me want to go back to a restaurant versus waiting a week or waiting 2 weeks or waiting 2 months is a personal connection. And the restaurants that get that, clearly, Stacie and Jason, you guys have a personal connection to that restaurant you just mentioned. Everybody has those personal connections, and when you have a personal connection, when the restaurant owner reaches out, when the restaurant owner is posting on Facebook, genuine, heartfelt connections to the people, that's what matters. And so, in addition to the ones in San Diego, there's a lot of corporate people that, I enjoy going to Havana 1920. They do great drinks and stuff. And GBOD does a great job at running restaurants. But I don't have any personal connection to them. Tum Tum Thai in Elgin, Illinois. I haven't lived in Elgin in 7 years, but I still enjoy her Facebook updates because it's a little Thai lady and her daughter runs it. And things like if you came into the restaurant, well, granted, right now if you came into the restaurant with sniffles and sneezing, she'd kick you out. But back in the day, if you were kind of under the weather in a cold Chicago winter, she would immediately, without even you ordering something, would immediately make you some Thai soup, because that's who she was and that's who she cared, because she knew that it didn't matter. She wasn't looking at the $1 margin that she was going to make off that soup, because she knew that because we were part of the family, that we were going to come back and we were going to support her. And those kind of restaurants are the ones I think are going to be successul coming out of it. I hope they are.
You're kind of hitting on a secret of the restaurant industry. If you want to be successful in the restaurant industry, you've got to be able to make food and serve at a reasonable level. But really, the industry is about creating that relationship with somebody, creating that personal relationship. And if you can do that, you have a customer for life. And
Absolutely.
If it was easy to do, everybody do it. It's not easy to do. It takes work. It's something you have to work every single day. But if you do it, it really does pay off.
Well, let me give a shout out too, and Evan, it's in our area, my former area. You're here. Well, I keep forgetting you're not in the South Bay, but Sharky's, which everyone knows is a wild, fun bar around here. But Sharky's did one thing from day one. They did exactly that. The customer service that they provided to their regulars. They took care of their regulars. I'd look around and see restaurants empty right next door to them. Sharky's always packed. And other restaurants have scratched their heads or someone closed. What is it? Because they take care of the locals, because they take care of the people. And, they still do to this day. They're one of the most successful. They're a little chain now. They've got restaurants in most beach cities. But the reason they're so successful is they take care of me, their customers, from day one to now. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why any other restaurant or bar is not that way. But I see it frequently. It's not that way, and to me, that seems pretty simple.
And Donut Bar does that really, really well here in San Diego. I don't like Donut Bar. I think the guy's a prick. But no, but I respect the crap out of the guy. I was at a social media conference, and this guy understands social media. He's been very successful. But many bar owners or restaurant owners, when they're asked, well, how do you respond to negative reviews? It's like, I delete them. and that's like to a room of 1,000 social media people that are all like, did he just say that? Because it's not the right answer, but it works for him. And because it works for him, and because all these fans know that his product is good, they don't care. And that's attracted an incredibly loyal following. So, there's rules that Stacie and I have evangelized to our various clients over the past decade or so. But at the end of the day, if you have a good product, if you have the right personality, and you have the balls, or whatever the female equivalent of balls is, to back yourself up, then you can still be successful. What'd you say, Stacie?
I said it's still balls. We still
balls.
Yeah.
Girl
Yeah.
balls.
Yes.
Evan, you got any restaurants you want to shout out, Evan, or anything to wrap up with?
I'm the musical guest, so I think I should get a pass on voting on that.
So
Tony's.
Yeah, my favorite
Tony's
restaurants are the ones that hire me to play music. So
well, keep an eye out on his Facebook page. Keep an eye on his Facebook page. So I'm sure you'll put up there when you're back at Old Tony's and when you're back playing, some of the great bars.
Like I said, I love Old Tony's. Obviously it's been my home gig, and it's probably I've been playing for a living since I'm 17 years old. So I've played, and I used to tour with different resorts and things like that. So I've played a lot of places, and I continue to do so. So Tony's is a wonderful place, and I love playing there. But I'm not there every night. I'm only there, when I'm there. So I'm always happy to play other places. And really, honestly, there's a lot of places that I play that I love, and I wish them all success. Because they all, especially the places that do have live music, it takes a certain commitment to your regulars, as you're talking about, because they're actually spending money, and it's really an investment for their customers. Now, most places that hire somebody like myself, And I'm glad James is not my PR guy, because actually he said, "Well, this guy's not the best. He's not the best."
Well, and to be
He's the guy,
clear,
he's the guy we could get today. So
to be clear,
yeah,
I
I'm
tend to
just
hype this guy a lot, and so you know
I'm joking
I
around.
no, I know you are, but just in case he's watching, which he probably will, or his awesome wife who handles the marketing stuff for him. That was not a dig at him at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I love his filet. You know, I love his moles. Heather loves, even though she can't spell Patrons. Apparently, Patton's Corner has great esquites also.
She's probably had some of this whiskey and tied her toppings off a little.
Yeah. Well, she's probably downing the. Oh God, I don't know what she's downing over there. But anyhow,
Correct.
Yeah, anyway, I was just to wrap up what I was saying is really the places that do hire me, I have to say they all have that in common as far as the customer service, because having live music is, in and of itself, is a sign that you're doing something for your customers. Now, they all have to calculate. Trust me, I know. They all look at, okay, how much are they paying me versus what they're going to get back from it. So generally, they make the calculation over time that it's actually going to make them money. But I think the number one calculation that they make is they're actually doing something for their customers, and in order to grow their regular customer base and to do something nice for their customers. So having said that, that's what I was saying. I wish all the places that hire live musicians, I wish them much success as they're reopening, because they're all, as far as I can tell, they're all places that really care and that really want to go above and beyond.
yeah, absolutely. Even though I have an almost empty glass.
Yes, I have one more little sip here. By the way, thanks to the great chicken cock, my double contact eyes are no longer bothering me somehow. Mysteriously, after having this shot glass full and a drink.
Now, I fixed my empty glass problem, so thank you, Chicken Cock. This is, it's an interesting whiskey, because a lot of whiskeys
It's a good whiskey.
have evolved into a, and actually it's not just whiskey; it's actually Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. But a lot of bourbons have gone smooth and have gone kind of modern, if you will. And 1858 they started, and so this isn't just a pre-prohibition. This is a pre-Civil War era bourbon. I can only imagine how they survived prohibition. But the point, I think, back then whiskey was whiskey and men were men, and
and the name stuff chicken cock.
and yeah, they were our perverted great grandfathers and stuff. So it's a fun whiskey to drink. It's a fun whiskey to talk about. So I'm thrilled that they sent that to us. And I got to wrap this show up because I have a call that I'm now 10 minutes late to doing to talk with a winery about a future tasting we're going to be doing.
Beautiful.
So anyhow, with that being said, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you tune in. This is Thursday, so we have Tuesday. We're going to be talking about Mexican tourism with a tour operator who's been doing some really cool stuff down there, as well as the ICF, which is International Community Foundation, who's raising money to support local NGOs in Mexico. And our tourism guest is also supporting agave farmers in Mexico. And Mike, I got to see if I can try to get you on here too, because I know you work with an NGO down in Nicaragua. But is it Nicaragua, I think, or is it Honduras?
Yeah. I've been working in Nicaragua since '98.
Nicaragua.
So, yeah.
Because right now we've been lucky, we've been blessed that through chance, through hard work, through whatever it is in the United States, we've kind of we've managed to avoid the worst of what could have been. Mexico and Latin America, unfortunately, is now getting the worst that this virus could have delivered, unfortunately. But the reality is, I look at this as we're all Americans right now. Mexico is our brothers. Central America. The reality is, in San Diego, we live just above the border, and our fate depends on their fate. So we wanted to really support them as well. But anyhow, enough of me talking. Kevin, did you have any last minute things to shout out before I hit the end broadcast button?
I just want to shout out to the girls, Gabby and Ashley, who unfortunately weren't able to join us. And girls, we miss you. And we were having some interesting discussions on Twitter, so I want to check in and see if their cars and they're okay. But we miss you, girls. We always do.
And Gabby and Ashley, if you do end up making it down here for the weekend or for a future weekend, we have plenty of alcohol to make sure that you're able to drown your sorrows when either repairing and or getting a new car.
I still want Ashley to come down here because she was headed down. She got to Long Beach and had to stop. So I'd rather her keep coming down the 405 rather than turning around and going back up to Hermosa.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. See you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Right.